That flash of heat that travels up your neck. Your heart starts pounding, your shoulders tighten towards your ears, your jaw clenches, and suddenly, the world narrows to a single point of frustration. Maybe it's a driver who cut you off, a passive-aggressive email from a coworker, or your computer freezing right before you hit save on an important document. We've all been there. But what if you could feel that surge of anger, and it didn't have to control you? What if, instead of being a destructive force that ruins your day and strains your relationships, it could become a powerful messenger? Mentally strong people have a secret. They don't suppress their anger, and they certainly don't let it explode. They listen to it. They understand it. They learn from it. Today, we're going to break down 7 healthy ways to manage the powerful emotion of anger. And trust me, you'll want to stick around for number 6, because it's a game changer for understanding the true reason you get angry in the first place. First, let's master the 90-second rule. This isn't just a neat trick, it's grounded in neuroscience. When something triggers your anger, your body is flooded with chemicals like adrenaline. This creates a physiological response that lasts for about 90 seconds. It's the physical feeling of anger, the heat, the tension, the racing heart. Think of it like a wave. It swells, peaks, and then naturally crashes. After that 90-second wave crashes, any anger you feel beyond that is a choice. It's you consciously re-engaging with the thought loop that's keeping the anger alive, forcing the tide to come back in again and again. The psychology here is about separating the automatic chemical reaction from the cognitive story you tell yourself. The initial surge is involuntary. The hours of fuming afterward? That's voluntary. You're stoking the fire. Imagine you get a surprisingly critical text from a friend. Your immediate reaction is a hot flush of anger and betrayal. Instead of immediately typing a furious response, you apply the 90-second rule. You put your phone down. You take a few deep breaths. You feel the heat in your chest, you notice your fists are clenched, your breathing is shallow. You just observe it, without judgment, for a minute and a half. Surprisingly, after that wave passes, the intense, raw emotion subsides. You're still upset, but now you're in your logical mind, not your reactive one. You can now think, what's actually going on here? Is there a misunderstanding, instead of just reacting with, how dare they say that to me? Second on our list is a technique called Name It to Tame It. When you're in the grip of a strong emotion, your brain's emotional center, the amygdala, is firing on all cylinders. It's your fight or flight command center, and it's screaming danger. By simply putting a precise name to what you're feeling, you engage your prefrontal cortex, the thinking, rational part of your brain. It's like turning on a bright light in a dark, scary room. Suddenly, the monster in the corner is just a coat rack. This act of labeling actually calms the amygdala's alarm bells. Saying "I'm so mad" is a start, but it's too broad. The real power comes from building your emotional vocabulary and getting specific. Is it anger, or is it something more nuanced? Think about a time you were waiting for someone who was running late. You might think, "I'm angry." But try to name the feeling more accurately. Are you feeling disrespected? Are you feeling anxious because your plans for the evening are now ruined? Are you feeling abandoned or forgotten? Are you feeling frustrated because this happens all the time and you feel powerless? By saying to yourself, "I'm feeling disrespected and my time feels devalued," you've moved from a hot, chaotic emotion to a cool, manageable problem. And a problem is something you can solve. You can't solve being mad, but you can address feeling disrespected by having a conversation about it later. Third, practice the zoom out technique. Anger has a way of making a small problem feel like the center of the universe. It creates tunnel vision, a phenomenon psychologists call catastrophizing, where we blow an event out of proportion. The zoom-out technique is a form of cognitive reframing where you intentionally shift your perspective to see the bigger picture. It's about asking yourself a simple question: will this matter in 5 minutes? 5 days? 5 years? The psychology is rooted in perspective. Our emotional response is often directly proportional to how significant we perceive an event to be. By artificially reducing its perceived significance, we can dial down the emotional intensity. Imagine you spill coffee all over your shirt right before a big presentation. The immediate reaction is frustration and anger. You're thinking about how unprofessional you'll look, how unfair it is. Now, zoom out. In 5 minutes, you'll have cleaned it up as best you can. In 5 days, you'll barely remember it happened. In 5 years, it will be a completely non-existent memory, or maybe a funny story. Realizing this in the moment doesn't magically clean your shirt, but it stops the emotional spiral. It keeps a minor inconvenience from turning into a day-ruining catastrophe, allowing you to focus on what actually matters, your presentation. Next up, number 4, use the constructive confrontation script. A lot of our anger comes from our interactions with other people. When someone violates a boundary or lets us down, the temptation is to lash out with accusations. You always do this, or you never listen to me. These you statements immediately put the other person on the defensive, and the conversation is over before it begins. It becomes a battle, not a resolution. The healthy alternative is a simple script: when you do X, I feel Y, because Z. This formula is powerful because it shifts the focus from accusation to expression. You're not attacking their character, you're explaining how their specific behavior impacts you. And the I feel part is critical, it's an undeniable truth. No one can argue with how you feel. Let's say your partner consistently leaves their dirty dishes in the sink. The explosive reaction is, "You're so lazy. Can't you ever clean up after yourself?" The conversation will immediately become a fight. Now, try the script: when you leave the dishes in the sink overnight, that's X. I feel overwhelmed and unappreciated, that's Y. Because it feels like I'm the only one responsible for keeping our home clean, that's Z. This isn't an attack. It's a statement of fact about your feelings. It invites a solution and a discussion, not a defense. It opens the door for them to understand your perspective and work with you to find a solution. Fifth, you need a physical release valve. Remember that 90-second chemical surge? That's your body's fight or flight system preparing you for physical action. You have all this energy coursing through you, and if it has nowhere to go, it can fester or explode. The key is to give it a safe, productive outlet. This does not mean punching a wall or screaming into a pillow. The old idea of catharsis, that venting aggression reduces it, has been largely debunked. Studies show it can actually reinforce the neural pathways of aggression, making you more likely to lash out next time. Instead, it's about channeling that energy to complete the stress cycle. Your body prepared for a physical threat, so giving it a physical release signals that the threat has passed. The next time you feel that surge of anger, don't just sit there and stew in it. Get up and move. Go for a brisk walk or a short run. Do a set of push-ups or jumping jacks. If you're at your desk, you can try progressive muscle relaxation. Clench your fists or your leg muscles as tight as you can for 10 seconds, then release. The act of physical exertion helps to metabolize the stress hormones and release tension from your muscles. It's like opening a valve on a pressure cooker. It allows you to let off steam in a controlled way, so you don't boil over. This physical reset clears your head, making it much easier to approach the situation with a calm mind. And now for number 6, the one we've been waiting for. This is the concept of uncovering the underlying emotion. Anger is very often a secondary emotion. Think of it like the tip of an iceberg. It's the part you can see, but it's being propped up by a much larger, hidden mass of other feelings underneath the surface. Most of the time, that underlying emotion is fear, hurt, or sadness. Another way to think of it is that anger is a loyal but overzealous guard dog. It barks loudly at any perceived threat to protect the softer, more vulnerable parts of you. We use anger as a shield because it feels more powerful and less vulnerable than admitting we're hurt or scared. It's easier to be mad at someone for canceling plans than it is to admit you feel lonely and sad about it. It's easier to be angry about a mistake at work than it is to admit you're afraid of looking incompetent. It's easier to rage at traffic than to admit you're terrified of the consequences of being late. The next time you feel a strong wave of anger, pause and ask yourself, what am I really feeling right now? What's underneath this anger? What is this anger trying to protect? Imagine you get angry because your friend didn't invite you to a party. The surface emotion is anger at being excluded. But dig deeper. Are you hurt because you feel like they don't value your friendship? Are you afraid that you're losing your social circle? By identifying the root cause, the hurt or the fear, you can address the real issue. You're no longer fighting the symptom, you're healing the wound. This single shift can transform your relationship with your own anger. Finally, number 7, practice proactive boundary setting. So many of our angry outbursts are the result of 1,000 tiny frustrations piling up over time. It's the death by 1,000 cuts. Each time someone is a little late, pushes a little extra work on you, or makes a small, thoughtless comment, it adds a drop to the bucket. Eventually, the bucket overflows, and you explode over something trivial, leaving everyone, including yourself, confused. The psychology here is preventative. Anger is often a signal that one of your boundaries has been crossed. By setting clear, firm, and healthy boundaries up front, you prevent the bucket from filling up in the first place. This isn't about building walls, it's about installing gates and teaching people how to use them. Think about a coworker who constantly asks you for a quick favor that ends up taking an hour of your time. You might say yes resentfully, and your anger builds with each request. Instead of waiting to explode, you can set a proactive boundary. The next time they ask, you can say, kindly but firmly, I'd love to help, but I'm on a tight deadline and can't take on anything extra today. Or, I can spare 5 minutes to point you in the right direction, but that's all I have. You're not being mean, you're being clear. You're teaching people how to treat you and protecting your own energy, which is one of the most effective long-term strategies for managing anger. This is an act of self-respect. So, to recap, anger isn't your enemy. It's a messenger, a smoke alarm telling you that something is wrong. It might be telling you that a boundary has been crossed, that you feel hurt or afraid, or simply that your body is having a 90-second chemical reaction. It's a vital piece of data about your inner world. By learning to listen to it, name it, give it perspective, and channel its energy, you take back control. You move from being a reactor to a responder. It's about transforming that raw energy from a wildfire that burns everything in its path into a focused flame you can use to light your way forward. This isn't about never feeling angry again. It's about learning to use that fire to forge a stronger, wiser, and more emotionally intelligent version of yourself. Remember, this video is for educational and entertainment purposes only and is not a substitute for professional advice. True, lasting change comes from consistent practice. Now, we want to hear from you. What's your go-to strategy for dealing with a sudden surge of anger? And which of these 7 techniques are you most excited to try first? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Reading through the experiences and ideas of others helps everyone in this community grow.